All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Money Habits. And it's my daily broadcast on teaching everyone how to develop better money habits to work your way towards financial independence. And so today, Monday, we talk about Mint. And one of the things that I want to talk about today in regards to Mint is not just for tracking your personal expenses. One of the biggest advantages that I've found by tracking my expenses on Mint, on any other software like that, is that I'm able to categorize all my expenses as I go. So I have a business. I've been an independent consultant for a while. So I have a lot of business expenses. And so in order for me to get the best, to be effective with my tracking expenses, I always review my Mint, and everything flows through it. So including my business credit card, and I'm able to mark them as I go. And here's why. So one of the things I thought about it this morning is like, why do I do that? And why do I do it versus like some people start a business and then they come to tax time, they're like, oh crap, I don't know what my expenses are. And you end up overpaying in your taxes because your revenues are tracked, right? The IRS makes everybody track their revenues either by vendor. The vendors will give you a 1099 or other tax forms, but they're not really that vested in tracking your expenses. That's up to you. So if you have a business, if you have a part-time business, right? If you're anytime aspiring to do any type of work besides a W-2, you need to really get an idea of how expenses offset your revenue when it comes to taxation. And so I think Mint is a great tool in which you can track those expenses. And again, if you don't do it on a regular basis, it's really hard to go back and like after a month, to try to review and figure out what was that expense for and was it business expense. And if you go ahead and buy something, right? I mean, you buy stuff on Amazon all the time, and this happened to be a business expense. So if you don't go back within a week and say, oh, well, this was a business expense, let me mark it, then you lose it. And the other thing is on a monthly basis, I do, because I run my business, I go through and I'm able to, check to verify that I've marked all my business expenses and then do an expense report. So when it comes to tax time, I can be very confident about it. But make sure, it's because it again, sometimes you put it on your business credit card, but sometimes you don't, right? Like, oh, we don't take Amex, you put it on your Visa, and then you forget. So, but if you do it regularly, it's great. The other thing is, when it comes to taxes, like, so if you do charitable donations, right, whether you donate a little or a lot, and you deduct that on your taxes, same thing. That's right. You mark it, right? You're like, oh, what was that? I did somebody was raising money for something. Mark it, mark it right away, right? So that way, when you're doing your taxes, whether you do it yourself or someone else does it for them, they don't know, right? Like other people are like, oh, well, I'll just have an accountant do it. Like if you don't tell your accountant that they made all these charitable donations or these are all your business expenses, they don't know. I mean, they'll guide you through it. They'll ask you questions, but you're not necessarily, you might miss it and they might miss it. So it's really important to do that. And so that's why it's not just for seeing like where your money's going. It's not just for your net worth, but again, if you have business and charitable deductions and you keep track of it throughout the year, I can guarantee you, like I would be in real trouble if I didn't do this regularly, right? And again, this idea of, go into Mint, it takes you 5 minutes a day if you do it regularly. Just go in and say, okay, where did all my money go? And what of this money is a business expense? And you track it. And again, I think that for me, it was a little bit easier to do that because I worked for a consulting company, my first job, and I required you to do an expense report every month. Like you didn't get your money back until you didn't get your reimbursement if you didn't do the expense tracking. So that was something I did for a few years because it was a requirement. So that's why, when I started my own business, I was like, well, part of what I'm going to do is a monthly expense report. And over time, I developed a system when I use Mint, I use my calendar, and it gives me a lot of confidence that I got all my expenses and I don't have to second guess it. And again, if you're If you're a W-2 employee, then a lot of it, yeah. No, it's great. No, I think that that's, again, my goal is to share with you guys what I do and what I find works, and just to encourage everybody to do the same, and to tell you why, right? And so that's, hello, and that's why I do it. So that's the mint. That's the sort of the mint hint of the week, is to make sure you're tracking not just not just where you're spending money, but when it's a business expense or charitable expense, or it impacts your taxes somehow, then you mark it on a regular basis. So when it comes time once a year or once a month to do that, that you feel very confident that you got it covered. Okay, so thank you everybody who joined this morning. I am not an accountant. I'm a consultant, but I actually have taken some accounting classes, tax classes. I don't do accounting. I mean, I do my own accounting for my business. Like it's easy enough. My business simple enough that I don't feel like I need it. What do I know about Russia? Well, I'm from Poland, so I guess from that perspective, I know enough. And life experience, yeah, like I've been doing it. I do my own accounting. I do my own taxes. I like it. So I never wanted to become an accountant, but I actually enjoy it, and I like numbers. And so to me, it's just like I didn't want to outsource that stuff. I like doing it. And I encourage other people to do it. And again, if you're like, hey, I'm bringing a lot of income, I want other people to do it for me, more power to you. If you can afford it and that's something you feel comfortable with spending money on, go for it. But I know most people would benefit from at least understanding how things work. Even if you're not going to do the nitty gritty, you really need to get a better idea of how, whether it's how accounting works, how expenses work, how taxes work, because your behavior can be impacted over time, and people don't realize how much taxes and not paying attention to those things can impact your bottom line and your net worth over time. It all adds up. So if you're going to be in business for yourself, either part-time or full-time, you really need to start paying attention to that, and tracking it is the best way to get started, because once you start looking at it, then you go, well, I understand it. Oh, it totally impacts it. It impacts it in small ways and big ways. And again, because I'm like, we're in it for the long run, most of us, it compounds over time. Both your behavior, if you have good habits, your good habits will support the bottom line, and then your savings that you'll get will compound over time as well. And so I think that's the message that I'm trying to get to everybody. And again, trying to tell you, look, this is how I use it. And I actually do it. I do it, I go into Mint, and I'll go in and I'll review and I say, all right, things that you buy online, things that you spend, maybe you're going out with clients, or again, whatever you're doing, you need to understand the implication and the expenditures and the tax expenses. And Mint's just such an easy way for you to get at all that money that leaves your pocket, and mark it out. So thanks for joining. If you're following me, thank you. If you're not, you can swipe right on Apple or Apple and Android, click on my name and follow. I do a daily 10 a.m. broadcast, 10 a.m. Central, and I talk about developing good and healthy money habits, and share my experiences with you, and hope to help people with on their path to financial freedom. So thanks for joining again. Thank you, and see you soon.